Hi everyone, welcome back. This is part 2 of the 3D printer workbench series. In the last video, I designed the bench on the computer, made a sketch, and planned out how much wood I would need. Then I spent a while pulling nails out of old 2x4s so that I could save them and reuse them. In this video, I'll measure the 2x4s, cut them to length, pick out some bolts and hardware to attach the legs, and start building. So once the 2x4s were free of any nails, I measured them according to my cutting guide, and I used a circular saw to chop them to the correct length. Safety glasses and gloves were important here too. Now, with all of the pieces collected in the workshop, I figure out where all of the bolts and nails need to go. This design uses 8 bolts and a bunch of nails. I used my sketch to plan out where the nails and bolts should go. The pieces need to be held together without any of the nails and bolts running into one another. I straightened some of the used nails with a hammer, and because knocking them out with a hammer in the first place blunted the ends, I use a file to sharpen the tips again. The bolts are not long enough to go through 2 2x4s at once as the design demands, so I have to drill into the wood so that the bolts can sit slightly inside of it, that is, recessed a little bit. I use a pencil and a carpenter's square to draw perfect lines across the 2x4 at right angles and mark out where the bolt holes need to go. I'm using my sketches as a guide. Then I use a small drill bit to drill pilot holes. These small holes act as a guide for a larger drill bit later on. Then I use a countersink drill bit to enlarge the holes, but only halfway through the wood. I mark the drill bit with a marker to remind me where to stop drilling. Wrapping the drill bit in a piece of tape at the correct depth is another way to do this. Now the bolts can be recessed into the wood. I made sure that the hole is large enough that a socket and wrench will fit around the bolt head for later assembly. Having drilled the holes, I line the pieces up, making sure that the countersunk holes are on the correct side, and nail the leg sections together. If I was to do this again, I would probably use screws. That way I could disassemble the bench if I needed to, and also hammering in the nails was problematic. Sometimes nailing 2 pieces together would cause a third piece to start loosening up again. With screws, I wouldn't have that problem. With the leg sections nailed together, I set them up vertically and attached the top rails. This is where I discovered that I should have drilled the holes through both 2x4s at the same time so that the holes would line up perfectly. The bolts don't want to slide in now because the holes are misaligned. Oh well, live and learn. I'll remember this lesson for next time. Here's the table mocked up in the workshop. As you can see, there's still a climbing hold left over from when this piece of plywood was part of a climbing wall. A few turns of an Allen key, also known as a hex key because it's six-sided, as in hexagonal, removes that bolt. Now I have a clean tabletop. Heading to the basement, I set up the legs in the tabletop and bolted together using a socket and wrench set. And then it's time to add the old shelf I had lying around, so that sits at the back, and some old salvage lights from a medical clinic. These lights are not very bright, but I like the flexible stalks. I might replace them with LEDs later. A few wood screws hold them in place. I also use screws to attach the tabletop to the frame. This makes it removable if I ever need to take the bench apart again. And hey, it looks like a workbench now. Super useful. That 3D printer looks very happy. Next, I'm going to play a time-lapse video of building a vent adapter to attach the exhaust vent to the printer. Now the printer is almost ready to use. I'm hoping to do some test prints with this machine sometime soon, and if I do, I'll be sure to capture it all on video for you. So thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time.